All right, folks, so today we're going to talk about how to do multiple selves edits. We're going to do the multiple selves in location edit here. And we're going to start off. You just want to go into, bring your pictures into your digiphoto folder. You can see here I made a new folder within that folder called multiple selves. And then get those pictures off your SD card into your desktop folder. And then you're gonna look at your photos. I took a bunch here just to have options. And so then I need to start with my background photo. All right, so you're gonna pull up your background photo, and if you see my background photo, my photos are a little bit dark, so go ahead and make that background layer into a layer 0, and then I might want to go in here and then just bump up my brightness of my photos, and then I'm going to want to make sure I remember what number I picked, because I'm going to have to do it the same number for the rest of my photos just to make sure that they're all looking pretty cohesive. So I'm doing 35. If you want to adjust anything else about your photos, like you want to put on a color filter, you can do that at the very end. But I'm gonna go ahead and just start with that just so I can see what I'm doing here. Okay, so then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna find my next photo. I can preview it over here. I'm gonna go ahead, open that separately in a separate tab. So here's my original, here's this one. And go ahead in here. You could also technically change your brightness at the very end, but like I said, I'm just doing it now so I can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm gonna go ahead and pick my other photos as well, just because I kind of want to have my options here. Take that one. Take this one. That's 3. Okay, so I just need one more. All right, and then I can go ahead, close out of here, extend my screen over here. And then I'm gonna go in. And then I'm gonna go ahead and grab my lasso tool, and I'm gonna start to lasso parts of these images. But really important, before we just get started with that, I need to be conscious about how much space I'm taking so that my background aligns. So I'm gonna start with this one because I think this one will show. So this is just the hallway. You can see that I have a lot of reflection on the floor happening, so I need to be very conscious of that so that it doesn't look odd or I'm not missing a reflection somewhere. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna just lasso tool and give myself a generous amount of space. I'm not trying to just go right up against myself. I'm trying to gather my background as well. And then I can grab that, and then I'm gonna go ahead, use my move tool, which is this one right here, or I can press B on the keyboard, and then I'm going to, make sure I'm on my background layer, and then I'm gonna go ahead and grab that and move over to my background image, and then I can just drop that there. And then I'm gonna want to line this up so that it makes sense. And you know what? I'm seeing a mistake that I made here. I need to grab the door as well, because as you can see here, so I'm gonna deselect. I'm gonna go ahead and hit Command D, and it'll unselect my selection. And I'm gonna select the whole doorway and my whole reflection. And if I need to make changes to that later, we're gonna talk about how you could do that. So then V, grab this, bring it over, and then I can just kind of line up my doorways here. And then I wanna move that brightness filter up so everything matches. And then I can zoom in. And also, if instead of moving it with the mouse, you can also use your arrow keys if you just need to get more specific with how you line things up. So there's one. I'm gonna go ahead, jump to this photo. throwing a brightness filter on, just so my photos are super dark. And then I'm gonna go ahead, zoom in, lasso tool again. Oops. Make sure you're on that background layer, else you're not gonna grab anything. And then I can kind of use all right, and now I can kind of use things like the wall. I can use this part right here, like this little bottom part. I can use all of those things to kind of line up my image. This frame on the wall could be really helpful. My brightness layer is on the top. And then I'm gonna go ahead and find my other images. Again, making sure I'm being conscious of my reflection on the floor, my shadow on the wall. Line that up with the bulletin board would be a helpful thing. And then last but not least, this one, I have a shadow on the wall again, so I'm gonna make sure I'm conscious about all those things. And then I can line this up with the shoes, as well as this pillar. All right, now this could be it, but if I needed to edit anything up, like if any edges, I can create a layer mask by clicking on the layer. So if I go to the one of me doing a handstand, I can press this, the layer mask icon down here. It's the rectangle with the circle in the middle. And then I can go in with a brush, and then remember you need to be selected on the layer mask. And then your brushes, only black and white brushes matter in a layer mask. So white reveals, black hides. So if I needed to go in and clean up any edges, I could take my regular brush tool, make sure that I'm selected on black. I would go to soft round because it makes for like a nice finished edge. You make your brush a little bit bigger. And then to show you, if I wanted to like get rid of my shadow, I don't, but just to show you, I could do that. Or if you have any weird like harsh edges or like lighting changes, you can kind of get rid of that. So here you could see if I switched over into this layer, I could do the same thing and see how that kind of gets rid of that shadow there, but I would want to keep my shadow to make it look more realistic. So in the end, you should have something that looks like this. You're going to go ahead, File, Export, Export as a JPEG as usual. And then make sure that you save these things into your digiphoto folder, back into a multiple selves folder. And then you're going to rename it multiple selves and then your initials. All right. And then you'd hit save, and then you would turn that in. Pretty easy peasy. If you wanted to add any additional filters over the top of your photo, apply any of the edits that we've done as a class, you're more than welcome to do that, but this video details what you are required to do. All right, happy editing, and thank you so much for watching.